The internet is cracked, the show that asks the question, can we coexist with our creation?
Hello, I am Seth Camillo.
And I am Caroline Risberg, and we are the Internet is Cracked by Addicts for Addicts.
And today we are very, very lucky to have a very good friend of mine, Andy Lauer. He's not only a friend of mine, he is a co-director. We made a film together called Gridiron Heroes, which is right there over the corner, our poster. And you got it up there too.
Yeah.
And it was
Nice.
not easy, but we got it done. And I have to say that we made something really good. I can say that. And I'm proud of it to this day.
We did.
And it took a few years, but we got it done. And now I'm going to introduce you as more than a collaborator. Andy Lauer is an actor as well as a feature documentary filmmaker. He has mentored under the direction of filmmakers like Oliver Stone, David Fincher, and James Burrows. He is shot in the toughest conditions, including the North Pole and the most unique situations, underwater, inside shark cages. He's best known as Charlie in the long-running hit TV show Caroline in the City. He has been in far too many movies and TV shows to list.
Whoa.
If you want to check him out, you got to go on IMDb and you can look, and you should watch him because he's a great actor. And sometimes he would even, when I was editing, we'd be sitting at the computer, you'd work up a character for me just to keep me entertained. Andy is a truly great actor. And it is true, if you want him to direct your documentary, basically go to the most exotic and most dangerous place you can find and say, hey, do you want to make a documentary there? And he will say yes.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about you as a person, and then also your knowledge, your professional knowledge of acting as the internet, I would say, encroaches on the art form.
First, I want to say thank you so much. It's so cool to be part of your podcast, your show.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you have a good relationship with the internet?
I think the relationship with the internet is definitely what you make it. Just like kids, just like life, it can rip you up, it can tear you to pieces, or it can make you a better person.
Let's talk about your kids. What was that like? You got 2 girls and a boy, and they are digital, what we call digital native, right? They were born after the internet was created. And did you have problems with them being bullied, with time on task, all that kind of stuff? How did they adapt to the internet? Do you think that they had a healthy relationship with the internet?
I think they all had their challenges for sure. So my son, his poison was gaming.
Oh,
So that was always quite a thing. And my daughters, not so much. I have twin girls
Mm.
who are now both 22, and my son is 20.
Okay.
I can't
So
believe
they were
that.
in the heyday of IG and TikTok.
Mm.
They remain in that. My son definitely liked, hey, Mai, come say hi. We're doing a podcast.
Oh,
Hey.
hi.
So her twin sister Parker was really into IG and getting as many likes and followers.
Yeah.
And I remember just trying to not push it away, but becoming part of her world and her interests. So I saw her, on the phone one day, and I said, can I see what you're doing? And she said, yeah, yeah, like, a little bit, like not a definite yeah, but whatever.
Mhm.
And and she'd go, like swipe, like swipe, like swipe, like swipe, like,
Oh.
and I was like, wait, are you even liking them? Are you seeing? No, 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 no one actually like looked at. We just like, like swipe, like swipe. And I was like, wow. So it was more about a numbers thing. I'll like swipe you and you like swipe me. So we just like roll that up.
Huh.
Uh, that was kind of mind blowing. And and then the other was Kai, my son, who loved his gaming. And I
Uh-huh.
said to him one day, I was like, hey, so you spend a lot of time with this, and I know because we're not as a dad, certainly did not feel powerless over the internet. I controlled their time all
Oh,
the
smart.
way, all the way.
Yeah.
You're not powerless by any stretch. You just got to go online and cut their hours. How much
Mm.
My son was smart enough he could figure out how to override it, but then I could override his override, but he was the genius at, they all know their little ways to get
Yeah.
past. Of course, the pandemic imploded, everyone. What do you do about
Right.
that? But even on that sense, um, I remember I took my twin girls. I said, "Hey, will you come do this uh work with Core?" It was Sean Penn's nonprofit organization that was testing people and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
For COVID.
yeah, for
Okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
And I said, "Will you come do this orientation?" Dad, no, we're not gonna go paint schools because that's like my thing is getting them to volunteer. Dad, no, we're not gonna paint schools during COVID. Like, okay, just come to this orientation. And they went and they kind of liked it. And the next thing I know, they're working at this testing site and they love it. And Parker loves it. And Maya loves it. So pretty soon after that, like within 2 days, I didn't have the time. I was just volunteering. But within like 2 or 3 days, they made them staff and they were
Oh.
getting paid like crazy money during COVID. And they
Huh.
got their vaccinations like as soon as firefighters got them, they got them. So there's alternatives out there.
I love to hear you saying what you're saying because of having kids that actually seems to work when you talk to them, you know?
Right. So there's the 555. What is the reaction going to be? What's the outcome in 5 minutes? What's the outcome in 5 days, 5 months, 5 years,
Mhm.
something like that?
Mhm.
5 minutes, they're going to hate me. Okay. 5 days, they still might hate me. 5 years, I'm fine.
But that's
Yeah.
hard to do. It's hard to do as a parent. That's a hard game, I think, for a lot of parents to play the long game like that. That's not, easy.
It's hard, but um especially if there's it depends on the household, you know. Um some parents need that quick gratification. They don't
Mhm.
it's hard to see in the long term, and then your teenager hates you anyway.
Right.
So it's like, God, I just kind of want to get some love with my teen who just 3 years ago we were best pals. We
Mhm.
were like running around, uh, playgrounds and balloons and things like that, and then it changes so fast. So, but uh, long term, long term,
Yeah, long term. I can
it's
yeah.
hard. It's hard. One thing I say, I was coaching a I was coaching a U10 all-star team, and I said to the parents, "Hey, we have a chance to do this tournament. It's every Saturday for the next 8 weeks, and it's about an hour and a
Mm.
half drive each way." And they're like, "Oh no, too far, too far. Palos Verdes, it's too far." And I said, all right. Well, here's my theory. You have to pay for it up front, driving lessons, tutors, recitals, being in their life, or you pay for it on the back end, attorneys' fees, lawyers, rehab, parole officer. Do you want to front load it, or do you want to back load it? Either way, you got to pay. Either way, it costs you
That's a good one.
time and money. So it's your call. And they're like, we're in, 100%.
Mm.
Let's do it. So I really feel like the investment, one way or the other, and I'd
Yeah.
rather, yeah, I have the energy now. I don't want to be doing that stuff when I don't have the energy.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my mom, if we were out dancing or whatever, and she always when you're coming home and you're sneaking in, and she's like, "Caroline, come and talk to me." Like, "No, I don't want to talk." And she was, "Did you have fun? Did you?" She just always checked me and my dad. They always were like, "Okay, did you dance with any boys? For any one night?" Like that, just to say, "Okay, go to bed." And I think that's important just to be involved in your kids. Pick them up, take them to school, whatever. I've asked them questions.
But Andy, I would say this, at the end of the day, it sounds like things didn't become overly problematic, but it does sound like it took a whole lot of energy from you to keep it that way. I mean, it is definitely invasive. It's an invasive weed,
Hmm.
the internet, that constantly needs to be checked. I mean, that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
which I think maybe because you were successful at it, it you're not quite taking that in, how much thought and energy you had to put into keeping this to not be a problem.
So, that was one thing that we do every summer and winter. We get out. We go and I go to places that don't have internet connection. We're
Mm.
just so remote. Then there's no choice but to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes we'd be in an Airbnb and I would turn the internet off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they lived, they survived. Yeah, they might hate you for a little bit, but it's alright.
Well, I think that's great. I love what you are doing with your kids because I keep hearing um, friends who have children that, oh, they're sitting on their friends, they're coming, sitting together on a couch, but they're texting each other. Then no, they stop talking. We talked to a teacher the other day said who was saying it was hard to have put
Yeah.
students in a group because they're not thinking for themselves. They Google or they try to find an answer and they not communicate. So you actually hearing what you're doing with your kids, you communicating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of parents, and it's hard to blame people, but they got a 3-year-old that they give the kid an iPhone, you
Yeah.
know? And
And a
it's
lot of times their friends' parents have given them iPhones, and anytime I would hear, you know, Riley's dad lets him do this, Jaden's dad, and I'm like, you know, two choices. You stay living with us or you go live with Jaden's parents. And I'm sure they'd be okay. I shouldn't say this, but Kai came home one day in senior high school and he said, "Can Bahar, his girlfriend, can she spend the night?" And I looked at my wife and I'm like, "I don't know, Kai. It's not okay." Why? I said, "I don't know. I've never raised a 17-year-old, but just something tells me it's not a good idea. I don't have a good reason for you. I wish I did, but I just don't, and just something doesn't feel right about it." That didn't go well. He didn't like it. And he's like, "Jaden's parents let Sonia spend the night. William's parents let Angie spend the night." I'm like, that's their thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Us, it's a no. And what about Bahar? What about her parents? Like, what are her parents? And obviously, it's, the girl would probably say that she's staying at her girlfriend's house. Anyway, he later told me, he's like, "Dad, thanks. She didn't need to spend the night."
Mm,
So
Mm,
very
they
good.
they want they want um a safety net.
Yeah,
They don't
I think so too. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with
yeah.
that. I agree with that. I
They
agree with
they
that.
they do. I do believe that too. I do. They want rules. I don't have kids, so I'm not gonna say that I know, but I think I actually think that we need to be. Yeah, they need rules. Yes. No.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I don't have children either, but I definitely felt, safe with, uh, my parents, although as I'm thinking about it, my parents were kinda hippies and let me do whatever I want, but, uh, but but when the important decisions came, they were on top of it, but yeah, they were surprisingly lax, as well, but I turned out okay, I think, but I think
How old were
rules
you
they
when you went to England to play
yeah, yeah, I was
for Spain?
16, yeah, and my parents
Damn,
would let me
damn.
go wherever I wanted in London as long as I was back by 9 or 10. I mean, so these are decisions that probably were not great, but, um, in retrospect, but they did have there was a definite sense of security and safety, and, I think kids do want that.
It's definitely a fine line of they have to go out and experience
Yep.
True.
danger, getting close to the edge
Mhm.
and going, "Oh, shit, that's." They have to. You can't read about that stuff. You can read about it, but you gotta have a practical application.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So it's a fine line, right? So I'm sure
Yeah.
you had some close calls or some scary times
Yeah.
in the UK when you're 16 and you're on your way home, or
Yeah.
you get lost, you miss a bus, you get disoriented, and you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah. You
key.
got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, you do. You do.
I just want them to sense danger coming from 100 feet away,
Yeah.
not 10.
No. Yeah. You got to
Mhm.
be street smart
Yeah.
some kind of way. You're right. You need to know.
Yeah.
W
'Cause
well, now that we're talking about danger, maybe we can, move forward a little bit. I was telling Caroline, I remember being upstairs in your house, I think right there, and you had hundreds of envelopes. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And you said, "I'm organizing my residuals." And, but that's not happening now, right, with the streaming services?
No, no. I've got, friends, up and coming actors, and I don't know. I don't know how they survive.
yeah.
With Yeah, there's more work, which is great. There used to be 3 stations and then 4 with Fox. When I started, Fox was just happening, and now there's a billion channels, so much production. But just the top tier are
Yeah.
making livable wage money.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. But now after the strike, isn't it better? Or
I think it's
they did
better, but
some kind of
still,
deals? It's hard.
I used to not walk on set for less than 600 a day.
Mm.
Now the average is, uh, even with SAG, it can be as low as 125. Some is deferred,
Oy.
Jeez.
Wow.
and that's not working every day. That's so you get a movie and you work maybe 3 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing I've been hearing that's been talked about quite a bit is the creation of actors, the creation of films, and people even believe at some point knowing the AI will know you and will create a one of one film for you,
Mm.
which is not just going to take the artistry of acting, but the artistry of directing, cinematography. I mean, basically everything the three of us have strived to get good at in different ways, different portions of filmmaking, and is taking it.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, it's not the filmmakers who decide what's a hit and what's not.
Yes.
It's not up to LA and New York. It's up to the people between LA and New York.
Yes.
Up to this diverse, cool, eclectic audience
Mm.
who decides, or they would have a hit every single time, just like art,
But I
right?
worry if you could make 10,000 versions of a film, one of them will hit and require minimal amounts of money and no artists.
Maybe for the next 5 years, 10 years, maybe for the next millennia. I don't know. It's when you lose the human factor,
Yes.
there's more to the soul and heart and us and life and breath and flowers and wind and trees and leaves falling than what people make of it. It's a spirit, it's a thing.
It's a thing, it's a it. It's yeah, I agree with you. We have talked a lot about that, Seth.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Well, I hope
You
you're right because to be honest with you,
I'm right too.
because
Yeah, I hope me
like
too.
I've told the story in several episodes. If you're a fan of the show, you'll know the story about my father, who's a mathematician and has been working on certain problems for 30, 40 years. And ChatGPT will probably be able to, or something like that, will be able to solve these problems easily in the coming years.
Mhm.
And then it's like, what was his life? Because these things drove him. And I have a friend who's a neuroscientist, and I said, I will never cry at an
Mm.
AI generated movie because it's not human. And she said, Seth, I can guarantee you will. And so I hope you're right. I hope
Yeah, I
you're
really
right,
hope you're right too.
but it
And
scares
I
me.
and I yeah, it scares me too. And we have talked about that set. Like for example, Prince, who's one of my favorite artists. Even if AI can make songs where it's that great, they're never gonna be a Prince on stage. Don't we want to see
True.
an artist, like because no one can do it. I mean, I've seen artists who try to even be him, the cover bands or whatever. They still can't, even if he was so special or whatever it is. It's like I call it, like someone who has that thing when they're walking in the room, whatever it is. I have hard to believe, but I don't know. I'm scared of it.
what we will see in our generation. I guess I can look forward to technologies. It's coming. Whatever. You can't fight it. But I will say, I don't mind the day when I'm not driving anymore. When I get in my car and I'm like, boop, 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 and it drives me somewhere. Maybe not as fast as I drive right now, which is a
Oh
good.
my God, now I just remembered how fearful I am yes, I definitely will get in
I
a
know, right?
car that's not, yes, driven by you. You're the fastest driver in Los Angeles, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
Well, but don't you think you would miss driving? Because
Yeah,
I
you
actually
love that.
like yeah, I actually like driving,
I love driving.
and I like the
Um,
V8 engines that now everything's gonna sound like blah, blah, blah,
right
like
now when
that.
80, when I shouldn't be driving, but I still want to get there. I still
Okay.
want to get to the market and do my own shopping. Then I will enjoy the independence.
Okay, that yes. My
There's a
mom
point where
would
we
be
should
great for
all
her now.
not be driving.
Yes.
Yeah, but
You
but
in
you tell me,
particular.
I can't. It's so true.
I'm sorry, but it is true.
No, it's so
And I've
true.
heard you on the phone calling places you've made movies in, fighting tickets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm awful.
Everywhere you'd make a movie, you'd be on the phone.
Like, dude, come on. A red light, like, I mean, it's just more symbolic
It's
in LA
symbolic.
than like.
Yeah, so maybe some people should have
Yes.
the the self-driving.
I just want to say one thing, which is I am giving you a hard time about your driving and you drive far too fast. But I will say this, you have to be one of the most skilled drivers I've driven with. You are incredibly skilled. I will say that.
But that's like saying you're really good at robbing banks. Oh, thank you so much.
But you're in and out, and I mean, no, you are very skilled. You are very skilled.
Yeah, like I'm really good at robbing banks.
You're really good
It's
at robbing things. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But I guess it's
Oh,
at
that's
the end of
funny.
the day, we're just gonna have to see with technology because I feel one day I feel, yeah, it's the human heart. You can't take that away. You can't replace Christopher Nolan. You can't replace you can't replace Brad Pitt. When you're watching Brad Pitt, you're watching Brad Pitt. He's a movie star,
Yeah.
you know, and and but then there's other days that I see things like I've seen short films made entirely by AI and they're really good. And then I'm like, "Oh, we're in real trouble." So I think we're at a precipice and I think in my opinion in the next 2 to 3 years we're going to see what whether these large language models can capture the soul or can't, you know?
Yeah.
Well, right, but we're teaching them the soul.
Yeah, we are. And I
Yeah,
don't know why
yes.
we're doing this so willingly.
I don't know either.
That's a question my mom always asks me because I talk to her all the time about this stuff and she's like,
Yeah.
"Well, why are we doing this? Everybody
Progress.
knows it's not a good idea."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand either. But can they actually eventually be you human, have those senses? Uh,
Right. I mean, it's a tough. So why would someone do that? Why would someone invade Ukraine and decimate innocent people who they've never met?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and it coming out and saying the founders that maybe eventually we need to have a universal bank because they're going to take away all the jobs and I'm thinking this as a human. Why would you do that? Same thing to say, why would you want to
Right.
take away jobs from people and have a universal ban? Like, what is
I don't
do they
want universal income.
I don't
I
I
wanna
wanna
make
do things.
another documentary. I mean, it's like, yeah, it doesn't make
Yeah. As you said, like, why go in and bomb Ukraine and kill innocent people or whatever? It's like that why I don't understand. Like, why, if they really think that uh, AI is going to take away most jobs, why?
Right. Where's the upside of that?
Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway,
but why would you take everything humanity is away from it? I don't understand. What do we become? Just because I have a check and I can eat and I have but that doesn't make a life. That doesn't make a life.
no, don't we want to have a purpose? We want to be something. We want to. Let's say your son who's a soccer player, like suddenly everyone gonna watch video game soccer players because they can kick like Messi or something. Like, don't we want to have
Right.
dreams or
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, because
I
you can play a game and you can feel like you're messy. So
yeah,
if they do this well enough, if they make AI well enough, why would you then put in the effort to make your lungs expand that fraction more and your work play
Sure.
through the injury and all that stuff? It's very confusing as to what I can't really figure out what the positive is, except for they do say that healthcare there's gonna be amazing strides.
Right.
They
You
said
go.
something like, "If you can live the next 10 years, you will live for the next 30 or 40 years because they're gonna make such strides."
I mean, are we staying alive just to have a pulse?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
right. That yeah,
Yeah, that's the question.
What's the quality of life?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
mean
I'm
that
alive,
is.
but I'm not
I have no
what
dreams. I'm nothing. I'm just gonna have a check and eat.
to stay alive just for life. I don't know.
Well, as Elon Musk said, even if it took 10,000 years for us to reach that point, that's still really fast. That's still really fast
That's
for
true.
humanity to be overcome,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, there were dinosaurs and now there's not.
Yeah. That's the scare that's the end point that you reach that of these conversations that is not very pleasant, you know?
But it's inevitable.
It is
Yeah,
inevitable.
and it's not gonna stop, and it's not. They're gonna
We're
keep going.
There's a limited run here. Yes. That it not be in my children's grandchildren's time. But what do we do?
Well, Peter Thiel, who was the first investor, he's a very rich man, he's a billionaire. First outside investor in Facebook. He said, "You know those movies where aliens come down and they're smarter than us and they take over?" He said, "Guess what? That's happening, but we're making it happen." And that is mind-blowing on some of why it's inevitable, but it's just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. The joy of having the wind at my face when I'm water skiing, I can't get that playing video games. I cannot.
No.
You can't get um uh downward dog or pickleball or serving or bowling
Or being in love.
or being in love. Like you can't get that artificially.
No.
No.
And
And actually
right.
find a person in real life and not on, when you meet someone and you meet the energy when somebody is like, you can't possibly know. I think people the dating, I don't understand. Like now people meet online. Most of my friends, or especially the ones who are younger, they all have met online. Fine,
Sure.
I'm very happy for them. That's great. But the whole swiping, the see, you don't know. You maybe think you want one particular look. That's what I want. I want that look. They need to have that
Yeah.
job. They need to have all of this. But that's not reality. The reality is when you meet the person and you meet and you suddenly it's like, oh, you have dark hair. I thought I wanted someone with this, or you are chubby and I wanted someone with a super fit. Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Real
It's
life. Real life.
real life.
Well, I think we've
Yeah.
covered it, and I think the happiest I am is that you. I'm not happy about the near future, but I'm very happy about the near past that you were able to raise your children
Yeah. Me
without
too.
having real problems with the internet, which is not easy to do. And so
Yeah.
I
Not too
commend
bad.
you. I commend you
Yeah,
for
me
that.
too. I do too.
But it's also sad. So in that, um, so nowadays, instead of visiting my kid's parole officer,
Yeah.
right? I just moved Parker to New York City,
Yeah.
so she's living in New York. Yeah, she's
That's
not coming
awesome.
back home from college, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maya's on
Yeah.
her way to Spain to do a Fulbright, and Kai
That's
is
awesome.
it's awesome. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. One thing I was talking to somebody about is um I was we were doing a scout and we went to this house and it was ginormous. And I said to the scout, I said, "Would you want to live in a home like this?" He goes, "No way." I'm like,
Mm.
"Why?" It's got a bowling alley, a sauna, a gym, a masseuse room, wings, this and that. And he asked me, he said, "Would you?" And I said, "No, no way. I want my kids close. I'd
Mm.
rather be on top of each other, like annoying, you know, than to have a wing in a room somewhere so far off where you can't even." It's like a board game,
Mm.
you know? Every once in a while, you should play a board game and just
Yeah.
be around each other.
Yeah.
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 AI can't replace that. Playing a board
No.
game with your children or with your
No.
friends. All right, man. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much. Thank you. This was fun.
It's awesome.
All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you for watching or listening to The Internet is Crack. Tune in next week when we have another great conversation about robotics, AI, and the internet. You can watch us or listen to us on YouTube or Spotify or many other outlets. And don't forget to follow us on social media. See you next Monday.